Imagine a secretive group that operates in plain sight, where members believe they are unlocking the mysteries of the universe through obscure rituals and costly rites. Behind their polished public image, there's a darker, almost obsessive quest for self-perfection and enlightenment, though only those who rise through the ranks can grasp the full picture. In this group, members are told they have spiritual impurities, forces beyond their control that are tied to ancient cosmic events. To free themselves from these, they must go through rigorous audits, a process that promises to cleanse them, but often binds them more tightly to the organization. As they ascend, they discover teachings about humanity's origins and a galactic overlord responsible for trapping their spirits on Earth. This knowledge is treated like a dangerous secret, guarded with fanatical loyalty. The group wields immense psychological control, using isolation, fear of retribution, and a belief that leaving would doom one's soul for eternity. Those who try to break free are often pursued, harassed, or excommunicated, treated as traitors by the community they once considered family. Despite its outward focus on self-betterment and saving humanity, at its core, it becomes a cycle of dependence where members are constantly seeking salvation but never quite reaching it. It's a mystery that draws people in with promises of power and freedom, but in the end, their lives become tightly controlled and their minds filled with fear of what's lurking beyond. The deeper you go, the more you realize the cult's true grip is not just on people's wallets, but on their very perception of reality. L. Ron Hubbard, in the lens of a mystery death cult leader, would be seen as a charismatic figure who rose from an enigmatic past, creating a web of half-truths and self-mythology that gave him an almost prophetic allure. His early life would be presented as a series of mysterious adventures and questionable exploits, claims of being a war hero, an explorer, and a man who unlocked arcane knowledge about the universe. In this narrative, many of these stories would seem to blur the line between fiction and reality, leaving his followers unable or unwilling to separate the man from the legend. Hubbard's real power lay in his ability to spin a narrative so grand that it seemed to offer answers to life's deepest questions. He would emerge as a figure who had tapped into ancient cosmic forces that only he could understand and harness. His writings, particularly Dianetics, would be presented as a kind of scripture, revealing the hidden dangers that lurk in the human mind and offering a pathway to salvation, but only through rigorous and often costly practices. As he gathered more followers, Hubbard's teachings became more esoteric and secretive, feeding into the cult-like atmosphere. He surrounded himself with devoted followers, many of whom believed he possessed an almost divine knowledge that could lead them to immortality, or at least free them from the cycle of suffering they were trapped in. Dissenters were met with paranoia, as Hubbard built an inner circle of enforcers, ready to silence anyone who dared question his authority. He cultivated a climate of fear and loyalty, using secretive rituals of control, including audits that laid bare the deepest fears and secrets of his followers. Toward the end of his life, Hubbard became more reclusive, retreating into a shadowy existence, constantly on the run from governments and former followers who had turned against him. His final days would be shrouded in mystery, as he isolated himself on a remote compound, still pulling the strings of his vast organization from the shadows. Even in death, his influence would linger, as his teachings continued to spread, with his followers, convinced that their leader had ascended to a higher plane of existence, becoming an almost messianic figure whose return they awaited, while still following his doctrines with fervent, unquestioning faith.
Audiences know